Hi, and welcome to this 30-minute yoga class. I'm Andrea, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today we're going to focus on our shoulders. We carry so many of our shoulds, our stress in our shoulders. So we're going to set some of that free. I'm using a yoga mat. If you have one, that's fantastic. If you don't, all I ask is that you find a place that isn't slippery, maybe a carpeted floor so you have some cushion. I have a couple of yoga blocks. If you don't have those, thick books might work. And lastly, I've got a folded blanket, maybe your throw blanket from your couch, or even a big thick towel. Once you have those, let's get started. We'll start standing with our feet hip distance in a pose called Tadasana mountain pose. It's the bedrock pose of all poses, and it's the yoga pose that we use the most in our life. With your feet hip distance, turn your palms away from each other. Let that happen at the shoulder joint and smile your collarbones open. Think of it as standing in the majesty of your mountain and with wonderful, tall posture. Choose one point to gaze at, out in front of you at the floor. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes and just feel an evenness in your feet and become aware of your breath. Ideally, you're breathing in and out through the nose. You'd like to cultivate breathing through the nose. There's a lot of science behind how good it is for us to do nose breathing. It filters and hydrates and heats our breath before it gets to our lungs so we can absorb more oxygen, which is the food for our muscles and mind. Think ears over shoulders, over hips, over heels as your blueprint. And take another cycle of rich, deep, oxygenating breath. Take your right arm out in front of you, thumb to the sky, and then let it draw across your body and hook with your left elbow for a little side stretch. Just see what stickiness, what shoulds might live in your shoulders here. Continue to stand in the majesty of your mountain as you do. Gently lower. Turn the palms away from one another, stand in your mountain, and then second side, left arm forward, thumb to the sky. Take the arm across your body and then just like a little lever, hook it in the crux of your right elbow. Let your left arm be as straight as possible. If it's tight, that's fine. We're here to set it free. And it'll probably try to bend at the elbow because of that little bit of should. Last couple moments here. Take your arms alongside your body. Turn the palms away from one another once again. Now interlace your hands behind your back and drag the knuckles down. It's going to be tempting to collapse into the low back. See if you can bring your bottom ribs and hip points a little closer to each other so you stand tall in your good posture. And then if it feels like the right move today, bend at the elbows and tuck your little interlace right there on your hip, almost like you're carrying a small child on your hip. Bring the elbows towards one another, only if that feels like the right next move. There's no should as to what you're wanting to do. Let it inspire you to stand even taller and breathe even deeper. Now take your interlace down towards the ground, bend your elbows optionally. Now take your interlaced hands to your left hip and draw those elbows towards one another. Once again, just check in, bottom ribs and hip points moving towards, not away from one another. And let your interlace drag down towards the ground. Unlace your hands, turn your palms out, stand in the majesty of your mountain. Now right arm extends, thumb to the sky out in front of you, and then pat yourself on the back with that hand The elbow will fall out to the side. What we don't want is shoulds of the shoulders into our ears. Left arm out to the side, thumb faces down, and then back of the hand against the small of your back. This is great brain food. We've got one thing happening on one side of our body and a different thing happening on the other. Enjoy the stretch, enjoy the brain food, fill it with breath. Gently release, arms along your side, palms facing out. Stand in your mountain once again. And then left arm out to the side, thumb to the sky. Pat yourself gently on the back. Remember, we don't want to scrunch anything. We're looking for freedom. Right arm out to the side, thumb faces down, and then just place the back of your hand on the small of your back and let it take place in the shoulders. The reason we like to dump in the low back or jut our chin is that those are already flexible parts of our spine. We want to let our shoulders have a little love today. Last couple of breaths here. And then release this side, stand once again into your mountain, palms face out, collarbones shine in their smile. Step out to the right, long. Take your arms out to the side and turn your palms to the sky. You'd like to have, essentially, ankles under wrists. So that's about the distance that we're looking for. Then turn your right leg out so that your right foot is facing the short edge of your mat. And cheat your left heel back about at a 45-degree angle. First, we'll try it on for size. Bend that right knee. And make sure that you don't have knee forward of the ankle. So you want to try to have a vertical line from your right knee to your right ankle. And if you need to adjust the stance, no problem. I have to do it all the time. Now, just like we did a few moments ago, take your right arm, thumb to the sky, and pat yourself on the back for being such a beautiful, fantastic warrior. Then turn your left thumb to face down and bring the back of your left hand to the small of your back here in our warrior with our brain food arm maneuver. See if you can continue to feel the bottom ribs and hip points move towards each other. Even here as a warrior, we're going to be tempted to compensate into the lower back. Give yourself a few breaths here. Think of bringing the right hip underneath you as if it was interested in trying to get to your left heel. 2 more moments. If you ever need to leave a pose early, no problem. Now first, let's undo our arms, palms to the sky. Slowly straighten that right leg. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Heel toe your feet a little closer to one another. Hands on your thighs. Let it be a hinge at the hips. So we're not going to round in our spine. We're going to hinge at the hips and take a little bit of a forward fold here. Now our shoulder blades are on our back. They'll be tempted to slump. It's sort of what we do out of habit. You want to keep a low belly lift so we're not arching into the lower back either. 2 more. Elongated spine, happy, smiling collarbones moments here. And then firm through your feet and your belly and come all the way upright. Take the arms out to the side and turn your palms to the sky, and then just space it so that your ankles are underneath your wrists. Turn your left leg out so that your left foot faces the short edge of your mat. Cheat the right heel back at that 45-degree angle. And then bend your front knee and see if you can aim it so that you've got that vertical line or thereabouts. It's not an exact science. We show up on our mat, meet ourselves where we are, and do the best we can every time. Left hip is tucking underneath you, and then you're going to take your left arm up to the sky, thumb to the sky. Pat yourself on the back, well deserved. Right thumb faces the ground, and then just place the back of your right hand onto the small of your back. Find that little adjustment of the bottom ribs and the hip points, and then be with it. And breathe with it. Just a couple more moments here. Feel a really strong connection of your left heel into the ground. Now really slowly release the arms. Let your palms face the sky, and then so slowly straighten that left leg and turn all of your toes to face the long edge of your mat. Heel toe a little closer. Hands on your thighs, a hinge at the hips, not a rounding of the back, and a little forward fold. Maybe you can find a bit more length through the spine this visit. And you're welcome, as long as it stays a hinge and nothing feels dizzying, to play with a little bit more of a fold and a little bit of straightening in the legs. Little being the key ingredient. No force, nowhere else you need to be, just right here, fully. Firm through your feet and your belly. Bring yourself all the way upright. Once upright, once again, arms out to the side, palms to the sky. Heel toe until your heels are underneath your wrists. Warrior two, once again, turn the right leg out so that your right foot faces the short edge of your mat. And then cheat your left heel at that 45-degree angle we covered the first visit to our warrior, and then bend your right knee and let it be knee over ankle. Get yourself comfortable. If you need to adjust the stance, that's fine. It's all about progress. It's really not about perfection. Take your right forearm across your thigh and then left arm up to the sky. A pose called side angle pose. Right hip is drawing underneath you as if it was interested in getting to your left heel. Turn your left thumb to the ground and weave that arm behind your back, back of the hand on the small of the back. Now we're still not compensating in the lower back. Let it be the smiling collarbone on the left side. You'll roll bottom ribs to the sky and you'll feel a stretch in your left shoulder and your right hip. It's all good. Remember, if it's too intense, take a little break and then come back to it. Imagine that you're standing in that mountain pose in your left leg, your back leg. Last 2 moments here. You want to be careful not to collapse in that right shoulder or get too tense in that left shoulder. Remember, we're all about freedom. Free your left arm, palm to the sky, firm through your feet and your belly. Come up to your warrior pose and then straighten that front leg. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shorter distance. So we'll heel toe to a little wider than hip distance this time. Hands on your thighs, hinge at the hips. Take your forward fold. If you feel that it's time to start to play with a little bit of straightening in the legs, we're not after fully straight legs. If you want to play with a little bit more hinge at the hip, this is a personal dive. There's not a should in the forward fold either. You just want to make sure that it feels sweet, good. Something you'll be happy that you did tomorrow too. And then firm through your feet and your belly and come all the way upright. Your arms go out to the side, palms to the sky, and we'll use that one more time to find the distance of our feet, our stance for our warrior. Turn your left leg so that your left foot is facing the short edge of your mat. Cheat your right heel at that 45-degree angle. Bend your front knee, and here we are in our warrior stance. You just may want to make sure that your left knee is over your left ankle, or as best you can do. Left forearm across the thigh. Remember, we're not collapsing. It's probably a habit we have. And then with your right arm, turn the thumb to face down. Keep the freedom in the shoulders and weave the back of your right hand into the small of your back. Now while we're here, explore a stretch in the front of your top shoulder, so your right shoulder, and be careful that there is not a collapse in the bottom shoulder, so that left shoulder. It's almost a karate chop of sorts. It's as if you're standing in your mountain in your back leg. And you're letting that left hip tuck underneath you, getting a little bit of a hip stretch in the front leg. Last couple moments, just do your best. Keep breathing, and keep breathing through your nose if you can. Free your right arm, turn your right palm to the sky, come upright, both palms face to the sky. And then so slowly, straighten that front leg. Great, and then one more time, all toes facing the long edge of your mat. Start to heel toe until you're about hip distance. Hands on your thighs, lengthen, hinge at the hip. Let it be a little exploration into a forward fold. And now we've, on purpose, brought our legs a little closer to one another because we've had a wide stance for a while. So you can press the thigh bones back ever so gently. Make sure the hinge is at the hips. Feel the shoulder blades on the back. Firm through your feet and your belly. Come all the way upright. We're going to make our way onto the floor. You might want to use the seat or back of a chair if that's a little bit tricky to get to. Once you're on the floor, you may want to do as I'm doing and use a blanket to pad your knees. So I'm going to use a blanket underneath my knees, and then we'll meet on our hands and knees. Once you're on your hands and knees, place your wrists right underneath your shoulders, and now we're what's called load bearing on our shoulders. That means we're weight bearing here, whereas we weren't when we were standing up. For some of you, you might actually prefer your toes curled under, so I want you to be gentle, careful with your knees here. We want to find shoulder stability. So we were kind of adventuring into what's called mobility, movement when we were upright. Now that we're bearing load, push the ground away and feel your shoulder blades on your back. So that means we're not collapsing. And we're also not so aggressive that we're pushing and making it a little too rounded in the upper back. So you just want to find shoulder blades on the back as best you can. Spread your hands wide and feel like your hands are in some clay. And then let your low belly lift towards the spine. So we've got a little bit of trunk stability too. Once you feel stable here, take your right arm out to the side. Thumb is facing the front edge of your mat. Now this gets a little trickier in that left shoulder not to collapse, right? So keep pushing the ground away. Just do the best that you can. Now imagine that this is going so well that you want to shake my hand. And very slowly, without dragging your right shoulder into your ear, thumb to the sky, reach forward with your right hand. And then you're going to take that hand back, not because you don't want to shake my hand, but you're just going to. And it goes out to the side. Now that's enough if that's plenty for you. Or drift your right arm back, turn the thumb to face the ground, take the back of the hand to the small of the back like we did in other poses. And then in your own time, you don't have to keep up with my pace, go back out to the side, thumb faces forward now. Be careful to push the ground away with the left hand, and then shake hands with someone out in front of you. And continue that half circle. Thumb faces forward, palm down, and then thumb faces down, palm up behind your back. And we're just making a big half circle that's sweet for our shoulders. Right, we'll do one more round or thereabouts, wherever you're at. Like I said, your timing doesn't have to be exactly as mine is. And then just return your right hand to the ground. If you'd like, take a child's pose, shake out your wrists, drop in. Child's pose is not necessarily comfortable for all of us, so you can be a little bit further forward. You could decide to put your blanket behind your knees if that's helpful. And then when you feel ready for the second side, you can take a little longer break if you'd like. Line up shoulders over wrists, perhaps curling the toes under is part of your recipe. Remember, shoulder blades on the back, and then with the right hand, we want to make sure that we've got that right hand planted. Left arm out to the side, thumb to the sky. And then reach as if you're going to reach and shake somebody's hand in front of you. And then very slowly let that hand move back. And then thumb faces down, continue and place the back of your hand on the small of your back. And we're going to take the arm out to the side, go back and forth in your own timing. We'll do one more round. And then return your left hand onto the ground. We're going to come to seated. I like to sit on my folded blanket. And the rule of thumb when we sit cross-legged is that if your knees are really high to the sky, you're going to want to sit up on something so that it becomes a little bit more even, a little bit more level. Maybe walk your feet a little closer to the edges of your mat so we're less crossed at the ankles and a little bit more feet underneath knees. Palms can go up or down. Think of our really great posture in our mountain pose and find that here. Now, arms out to the side, palms face out. Take a moment, thumbs to the sky overhead, and then bring them back alongside your body, palms face out. A little bit like we did on our hands and knees. And then again, out to the side, thumbs to the sky. And then arms along your side, palms face out. Take your right arm, thumb to the sky, pat yourself on the back. Left arm out to the side, thumb faces down, back of the hand and the small of the back. Bottom ribs and hip points moving towards each other just like when we were standing. Breathe into a hip stretch and freedom in your shoulders. And this is our brain food position too. Last couple of moments here. Right arm out to the side, left arm out to the side. Pause for a moment with your hands in your lap. We'll take the second side of that. Left arm, thumb to the sky. Pat yourself on the back. Remember, we're not scrunching. There's no shoulds. Right arm to the side, thumb faces down. Back of your hand to the small of your back. And then pause. Find your tall, beautiful, majestic mountain, even as we sit. And then very gently release this side. Notice which of your shins is in front. Apparently that's your favorite one. And then lean back, and it's not your least favorite shin, but let your other shin come in front as we cross. Get yourself comfortable on your perch. Right arm out in front of you, thumb to the sky. Remember the very first thing that we did today, we're going to add that here. So find a little lever with the left elbow. Let your right arm come across your body and see if some of the shoulds have been released from your shoulders. Breathe into the sticky parts. They're just letting you know that they need the most love. And then release this side. We'll switch sides. Left thumb to the sky and then arm straight across your body. A lever with your right elbow. And we drag it across the front body and just feel where it's a little sticky and tight. Feel where there's been some freedom, even in just this short amount of time that we've been breathing and moving together. Last 2 moments here. Release. One last one. Both arms out to the side. Turn the thumbs to face down. Bring your arms behind your back. Now it's really tricky because the slump is going to want to happen. Don't let it. Smile your collarbones and just rest the backs of both hands on the base of your spine. So right there on the small of your back. If you want to move towards a prayer behind your back, you can turn the fingers towards the ceiling. Bring the palms towards one another. Another option is to make fists behind your back. But what I don't want is this, nor do I want too much arch in the low back. So just feel where it starts to be effective in your shoulders, and then breathe into the corners. Breathe out the shoulds. Last few moments here. And now carefully wriggle your hands free. Rest palms up or down on your thighs. And from here, we'll make our way to our Shavasana final meditation. If you prefer to sit and meditate today, you can sit just like this. Meditate through the meditation. Or place your feet on your mat, come off of your prop, lie down, and either with your feet wide and your knees falling in on one another, or with your legs straight and the feet flopping open, lie back, snuggle your newly free shoulders underneath you, shoulder blades on your back, palms to the sky. Close, maybe cover your eyes, and I'm going to get silent here for a few minutes. You're always welcome to, in fact, encouraged to stay here in your Shavasana meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready to make your way back, bend your knees and put your feet on your mat. Roll gently to either side. And make your way to a comfortable seat. Might even be our seated cross-legged position. Take a moment to appreciate the freedom in your shoulders and your hips and your spine. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'm Andrea, and I look forward to us practicing again together soon.